Family Connections, a genealogy of the Carmon, Campbell, and Fontenot families of Southwest Louisiana. That is a 2016 book by Phyllis Pitre Lastrapes. This privately published Black family heritage book contains more than 25 years of genealogical research, beginning with Louisa John, a former slave who mothered 3 sets of children, totaling 10. Her history, as well as the histories of the fathers who parented the children, are chronicled with pictures, civil documents, interviews, church records, etc., in a concise narrative. As a number of generations have passed since her birth, she has had over 22,000 descendants as of publication. Author Phyllis Pitre Lastrapes is the daughter of Lenora Ledee and Paul V. Pitre. She is a native of Opelousas, Louisiana. After her parents' divorce, Phyllis and 2 of her siblings were reared by their paternal grandmother, Mary, for a few years in Chicago. She believes that growing up in a community like Opelousas and a large city like Chicago provided her with diverse experiences and an ability to easily adapt. Throughout elementary and high school, Phyllis received a Catholic education in Chicago and Opelousas. In 1989, she earned a master's degree in agency counseling. Her bachelor's degree is in family and consumer services. Her occupations have included rehabilitation counselor, program manager, employment counselor, and employment counselor. Her passions include working with the elderly population, scrapbooking, photography, decorating, volunteering, traveling, and learning family history. Family has always been ever so important in her life. After 28 years of marriage, Phyllis now enjoys visits with and from her grown sons and grandchildren. One of her passions is lifelong learning. From this bio of Lastrapes, we come to an understanding that she wrote this Black family heritage book in part to feed her passion for family history, as well as her passion for lifelong learning. Lastrapes has authored several family heritage books. After publishing Family Connections in 2016, she in 2018 published The Life and Legacy of Zem, a genealogical chronicle of Ozima Ledee. That book is dedicated to Lastrapes' mother and focuses on her maternal grandfather. Its preface says, "It is important that to know who you are, you must know where you come from." Thus begins the exploration into the lineage of Ozima Ledee, who was born on Saturday, February 28, 1903. Although deceased at the time of this publication, my maternal grandfather, Old Dad, lived a long and productive life. For some reason, or for some people, he was simply known as Zem. For others, he was affectionately referred to as Old Dad. For this narrative, both names are used to refer to Ozima Ladi. He was a tremendously industrious and creative individual who passed away only 7 weeks short of his 102nd birthday on January 4th, 2005. Genealogy, the study and investigation into one's family ancestry, is an arduous, intriguing, yet gratifying undertaking. This exploration begins with old dad and proceeds back to his parents, grandparents, etc., until we reach his 6 great-grandparents. At this writing, approximately 10 generations will benefit from learning the brief history of these individuals whose lives began in the 1600s. The preface of this book says, there is a natural instinct for most of us to take an interest in the biographies of our ancestors. Genealogy, the science or study of family descent, chronicles this historical data. The study for our family's history has been exciting, challenging, and personally gratifying. Researching, compiling, and writing the history of the Carmon, Fontenot, and Campbell families began in 1989 as an investigative assignment in my final year as an undergraduate student. This was in my fall semester at Louisiana State University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. It became a personal challenge to learn and verify information I had sat in on and learned as a child. Initially, attempts were made to substantiate the precise historical tales of which I had been informed through conversations. But that initial research was the catalyst for additional investigations. Since then, 5 publications have been researched, compiled, and self-published. Each of the five chronicles was an updated version of previous publications. As this is defined as a genealogical publication, the goal is to provide the reader with an historical account that begins with our progenitor, Louisa John Mammy Noon. This woman was my great-great-grandmother. It is because of her that each of us is here today. Since her birth in the 1840s, at least 7 generations have been born. It is her blood that flows through our veins. And she has directly or indirectly impacted the lives of over 22,000 descendants. For the Carmon, Campbell, and Fontenot reunion in Lafayette, Louisiana in 2010, the 5 chronicles that were published between 1990 and 2002 were merged into a single publication titled Leaving a Legacy. This book contained over 400 pages of comprehensive family history. It was therefore overwhelming for the reader to grasp. In preparation for the 2026 Carmon Campbell Fontenot family reunion, a survey was conducted to determine if any of the family members had a desire to obtain an updated version of our family's history. A large number of respondents suggested another publication. Immense appreciation to Gloria Ethel Pitre Condiff and Dolores Pitre Pettit, my aunts, and Mary Eartha Pitre, my sister, for pictures, financial and emotional support, interviews, encouragement, proofreading, and the many more tasks they performed during this endeavor. From them, I heard such statements as, "You must attend the CCF reunion. You are the family historian. The information contained in your book really grabs the reader in. And I must remember the daily phone calls that encouraged me by asking, 'What page are you on now?' Within a week, documentation, investigations, etc., grew from 14 pages to over 200 pages. Couldn't have done it without you all." Therefore, this book contains an updated, summarized, and more concise version of the life of our ancestor, Louisa John, and those who fathered her children. Additionally, each of her 10 children has been researched, with previous and newly discovered information attached. While discrepancies are inevitable, it is the writer's intent that you, the reader, come to learn and appreciate the journey of our ancestors. Hopefully, those who came before us have instilled in us compassion toward others, tenacity, and an unrelenting pursuit for lifelong learning, and an appreciation of our ancestors and their struggles. Also, this exploration of our past establishes a greater, more concrete connection with our predecessors. One of the goals when I began this undertaking was to provide the descendants of CCF families with considerable information about their ancestors. All descendants related to this family would benefit by learning of their forefathers. An additional goal of this work is that we express a greater affection, understanding, and appreciation of our ancestors. Louisa John, Mammy Noon's spirit, will never die as long as we celebrate her life with these CCF reunions. Let there now be awareness, and I hope a connection with those who came before us. These ceremonial gatherings are acclamations of our devotion and reverence to her and our family. It is this writer's anticipation that the reader will come to learn and appreciate the journey of our ancestors. Who we are is many times a matter of knowing where we come from. So writes Phyllis Pitre Lastrapes, the Carmon, Campbell, and Fontenot family historian, June 28, 2016. From the preface, we get, and the two books' dedications, we get that Lastrapes wrote to gratify herself, to benefit descendants, for personal gratification, to complete a college project, etc., on down to doing so to inform all descendants of their ancestors. The introduction to family connections reads, according to Wikipedia, an online information bank, genealogy, also known as family history, is the study of families and the tracing of their lineages and history. Genealogists use oral history, oral interviews, that is, historical records, genetic analysis, and other records to obtain information about a family and to demonstrate kinship and pedigrees of its members. The results are often displayed in charts or written as narratives. The pursuit of family history and origins tends to be shaped by several motivations, including the desire to carve out a place for one's own family in the larger historical picture, a sense of responsibility to preserve the past for future generations, and a sense of self-satisfaction in accurate storytelling. The genealogical information reported in this book is an investigation of Louisa John, Mammy Noon, and 2 subsequent generations. As the reader, you will delight in learning factual information through descriptive narratives as well as documented evidence. For me, it was not enough to learn mere dates, facts, and statistics. My desire was to learn what type of personality she was and what were her challenges. Having to endure slavery, the death of 2 children, and a number of marriages, she certainly faced challenges beyond our imagination. Could some of her personality traits and interests have been passed on to future generations? Perhaps we possess a strong conviction, are tenacious and hardworking, as Mammy Noon was. We are products of our past. Someone once reported, if you don't know where you've been, you don't know where you are going. This publication may answer that question. In this compilation, each of Louisa's children will receive major attention in the form of a personal profile. Special attention was given to its accuracy. What is disclosed here is done so in an accurate and respectful manner. No intent is ever made to report information that is inaccurate or irreverent. Therefore, this book contains information on Louisa as well as her children, Theodore, Adeo, Elsindor, Lena, Victorine, Curtis, Paradent, Camille, and Octave. Documentation has also been gathered on the fathers of the Carmon, Campbell, and Fontenot men who parented the above-named offspring. Numerous public records, such as census, marriage, death, courthouse, etc., have been examined and re-examined to compile this book. Many individuals were interviewed and their family records thoroughly investigated. Every source presented in this book has been thoroughly investigated to ascertain its validity. Genealogical information, whether extensive or scanty, is of no value slumbering at rest in our work papers. Therefore, it is this printed manuscript that serves as a permanent and tangible family record. Although every effort has been made to document this history with truthfulness, mistakes are inevitable. The reader should also know that a family's history is ever limitless and cannot be exhausted. While efforts will have been made to leave no stone unturned, there is always abundantly more investigative work to be performed. From this introduction to family connections, we get that the author wrote this book to place the family in the larger historical picture, to dispatch responsibility, to preserve the past for future generations, to satisfy the desire for accurate storytelling, to delight readers, to explore ancestral inheritances, clarify parentage, create a permanent and tangible record, and pave the way for more research. As a whole, as we look at Phyllis Pitre Lastrapes' own words for why she wrote Family Connections, we see at least 19 reasons why we write Black family heritage books. Next, let's explore why we write Black family heritage books by discussing why Russell Jacquet Assia wrote Sons and Daughters of Jean-Baptiste Jacquet.